Hello everybody and welcome back. This is your March 2023 home and market update. I'm trying to keep you posted on what's happening in the economy and in the market and how you can benefit from it this year. Now things are happening quickly and it's going to create some great opportunities within the next 3 to 6 months. And so I want to keep you updated. If you're not hearing from me or somebody on my team on a regular basis within, let's say, every 6 months, then please reach out to me so we can make sure you're on our watch list. Because as I mentioned, when things begin to happen later this year, it's going to create some great opportunities. We want to make sure we're ready to help you benefit from those. And so, fair warning up front, in this presentation, it's a little bit longer, and I go through a few graphs that help to explain why we're seeing what we're seeing. But if you don't want to watch the whole thing, you just want the summary report, let me give it to you in 30 seconds. Number one, we are headed for a recession if we're not already in one. Number two, interest rates are about to fall significantly. And number three, even though we are headed for a recession, this is going to be a good thing for your home values, right? Your value is not going to suffer because of this. So let's dive into this and explain why I feel the way I do about where we're going in this economy. Now, this first chart I have to start with because this is one of the key charts that I use to help predict whether or not we're headed for a recession. The way you read this chart is let me explain it like this. If you were to go to a bank and buy a CD, you would expect that if you invested your money in a 2-year CD, the bank should pay you a higher return than if you did a 6-month CD, right? Now, with the U.S. Treasury, it should work exactly the same. But when the economy gets wonky, that yield curve actually gets inverted. Meaning that I could go to the U.S. Treasury today, and if I gave them my money for 2 years, they would actually pay me more in a return than if I gave them my money for 10 years, right? Sounds crazy, but it is what it is. And so as we look historically, this inversion is a key indicator of coming difficult times in the economy. So let's look at this. Since 1975, these green lines, the green portion of the line indicates when the economy was normal. It was doing what it was supposed to be doing. The red portions indicate an inverted economy, which always precedes a recession, which is indicated by these gray lines going vertically, right? So, late 70s, early 80s, we go red. Immediately following, we have a recession. Again, right after that, we go red. Back into a recession. It happened again in the early 90s, red recession. Early 2000s, red recession. 2008, red recession. Most people don't know this, but in 2019, we were already headed into a recession when COVID hit. But I digress. Look at where we are right now today. We are more inverted on this yield curve than we've been in the past 40 years. And so, if history repeats itself, and it does, we are smack dab headed for a recession if we're not already in one. Now, most people think of recession, they remember 2008, home crashes, home values crashing, people losing their jobs. It was a hard time, I know, because that's when I started my career in mortgages. It was tough. But what people don't know is that recessions are usually very good for homeowners. And the reason is interest rates. But I'm going to come back to that. And so let's jump to our next chart to help clarify some of the noise you're hearing in the media out there. Most people will tell you, look, unemployment's at its lowest levels, the economy is still running strong, people are still spending money. Wait a second, let's look at this. If people are still spending money, it's not coming from their job. This is the level of credit card debt that we're experiencing right now. This is over the past 5 years, and you can see what's happening to this average household debt level for credit card. People are living and surviving on credit card debt, and that can't go up forever. Likewise, down here below, this is a personal savings rate for those same households, and you can see that it likewise is falling. People are using their savings, they're using their credit cards. Yes, they're still spending money, but it's money they don't really have, and it's money they're not making from an income. So, is this something you need to be worried about? Is this going to cause a market crash like it did in 2008? Quick answer, it will not. And let me explain why. In 2008, we had a market crash because people were buying homes with little to nothing down. When the market hiccuped and they had no equity in their home, there was no reason for them to keep the home. And so in droves, people were returning their homes to the bank. The bank was being inundated with homes that they had to foreclose on. And then to clear their books, they were flooding the market with these homes. And that's what caused home values to fall in 2008. The banks were flooding the market with too many foreclosures, and home values had to come down to find market equilibrium. Let's look at this next chart. This chart shows what home equity is today. And so you can see that in America, home equity is higher than it's ever been. One of the analysts I follow said this last week, that average home equity in America today is at 58%. Meaning if you own a home, you probably have 30, 40, 50% equity in that home. You have a significant amount of ownership in that home. Likewise, let's look at this next chart. This chart, and I'm going to move through these quickly because I don't want to bore you to death. This chart shows the average interest rates on mortgages, 30-year fixed mortgages in America today. Here's what's fascinating about this. 75%, all of these loans right here, all of these bars right here, are essentially telling us that over 75% of all 30-year fixed mortgages today have an interest rate of 4% or less. And so think about that. If you have 50% equity and you have a 4% interest rate or less on a payment that you can afford, are you going to foreclose on your home? No, obviously not. If you need to sell that home, maybe you'll cut the price by 5% or 10%, but no way people are going to take a 30, 40, 50% haircut to get their home sold. It's just not necessary, especially when they can afford the payment and wait out the market, right? So the point of this is that your value is going to, yes, it's going to lose maybe 5, maybe even 10% in some markets, but by and large, your value will be fine. It's going to hold steady for the next few months. And not only that, it's actually going to increase beyond that. Here's another chart that I think will be helpful for you to see. This is foreclosure filings since 2008. Now, again, what's fascinating about this is that we saw a ton of foreclosures in 2008, 9, and 10. It started to trickle off in 2020, 2019, right before the pandemic. We were at about 296,000 foreclosures in 2019, right? That was our last normal market year. And so people keep saying now, oh no, foreclosures are spiking. We're up 50%, we're up 100% since last year. But look at this. Foreclosures last year were almost half of what they were in 2019. Again, people aren't foreclosing on their homes because they have equity and they have low interest rates. Why would you foreclose on a home you could sell and actually walk away with money, right? Homes are not going to plummet in value. Now, moving on. These next charts are going to get into interest rates. And again, it's a little bit confusing, but let me try to help you to interpret what I'm showing you here. This is the mortgage bond market. And it's a little bit confusing because it's inverted from what interest rates are. And so basic idea is that when you see this graph go down, that means interest rates are going up. When you see this graph go up, that means interest rates are going down, right? So let's leave it at that for now. Now, analyzing the past year, what we saw is that last year was rough. The summer, the fall, the bond market was falling, which means that the interest rates were spiking. Somewhere right here on November 10th, inflation peaked, meaning we hit the highest point of inflation in this cycle. And guess what? So did interest rates. The next day, because of that peak in inflation, interest rates had a major improvement. And likewise, we continued to improve gradually until January. Now, what happened in January and February? Jobs numbers. The Fed and national data came out with jobs reports, which in my opinion was falsified and inflated, and it tricked the market into thinking, hey, we're still super strong here. People are doing really well. But guess what? Their falsity in those reports is starting to catch up with them. This morning we had another report that indicated that what they're telling us probably isn't as rosy sunshine as it is. Unemployment isn't as strong as they keep saying it is. And as a result, look, the market is turning back the other way, which means interest rates are coming back down. Let me give you a closer look of what's happening there. This is the same graph, but a little bit closer up. And so we've turned around. We've turned the corner. We expect additional economic data this month, March, April, and May especially, which will push interest rates way down. Right now we're in the mid 6% range. I expect us to be back around 5% pretty easily. And so when that happens, this is what I want you to be aware of, is that people think that homes aren't selling because there's no more demand, right? There's nobody out there to buy homes. That is false. There is more demand in our real estate market right now than there has ever been. More people today need a home than they've ever needed before in the history of this country. The problem is they don't have affordability. With high interest rates, people cannot afford to buy homes right now. And so this goes back to the question, well, we have to bring affordability back to the market. Is that going to happen from a falling housing market? Well, no, I've already addressed that. We're not going to lose value in our homes. Or is that going to happen with falling interest rates? It's going to happen with falling interest rates. As the economy slows, interest rates will fall, and all of those people that are sitting on the fence waiting to buy a home will be able to come back to market. And what will happen to values when that does? They will shoot right back up. And so be aware of this. If you're considering buying a new home, if you're considering refinancing, if you're considering doing anything in real estate over the next year, watch what's happening. Because when interest rates fall, buyers are going to flood back into the market, home values are going to shoot right back up, and this could benefit you in so many ways. And so I hope this information was helpful. I know it was long. I know there's a lot of information here. If you have questions, please let me know. Bottom line, though, is if you're not hearing from us already, please reach out to me personally. Shoot me an email and just say, hey, Trevor, watch my loan for me. And I'm pretty confident we are already. But if you're worried about it, just let us know, and I can promise you that we'll take good care of you. Thank you guys for watching, and have a happy spring. We'll see you.